Hello and welcome to this video where we'll be reviewing another Oogie.com challenge inspired by real events to give you that real-world experience. If you decide that you'd like to take part, all you have to do is sign up to a challenge, engage with your advisors, design your solution and send it in. That solution will then be reviewed, and if you meet all the requirements of the challenge, you'll earn the points associated with it, get a digital badge that you can share on social media, and unlock additional challenges too. So let's go right ahead and look at today's challenge. So this challenge is about an API prototype using the AWS API Gateway service. So what do we have here? Well, we have a customer that is a fairly small software company that specializes in the communication sector. And they build custom applications for call traffic monitoring and things of that nature. Now, normally their solution is sold as a package, often on a server that sits on site on a customer premises. Now, what they're thinking of doing is, instead of having to go with that solution and based on some feedback they've had from certain customers who say, well, maybe we don't want to use all the different elements of the package that you are able to sell to us. We only want to use part A or part B, maybe this offering here. So what they want to do instead is offer their elements of their software in an on-demand pricing fashion using an API gateway service. Okay, so pretty interesting, right? Now, instead of any kind of inline monitoring, these application services that will be available through the API gateway will more likely be for more auxiliary functions. So think of, for example, it will monitor for telephone numbers that are considered to be coming from nuisance callers, and it will generate a list for the customer to then say, well, these are probably spam numbers that you need to file away and mark as such later. Now, some of the stakeholders involved in this are pretty excited, but others are quite concerned about some of the security elements that could be involved here. You know, they want to make sure that there's a strict access control policy in place, because otherwise this is going to be a publicly available API that anybody can get access to. So I'm sure that's fairly understandable and makes sense to everybody here involved. So a little bit more about API Gateway then. It's one of these services that will allow you to configure authentication and authorization. It will also allow you to keep an access list of which IP addresses can talk to the API Gateway, which source access lists, IP addresses, okay. You can also enable throttling to decide how many requests at any one time that API Gateway can handle, and many other things as well. Some great elements of security there too. It can then obviously link with other services such as Amazon EC2, the Elastic Container Service, even Lambda functions. So some pretty cool things that the API Gateway can do for us. Just a little bit more about this challenge in particular then. Well, you're going to be earning quite a few points for this one on your cloud architect journey. You can level up if you've already completed other challenges with Oogie.com in the past. And what we need from you for this particular challenge is a live test environment where you've actually deployed this API gateway based on the requirements below. Okay? So based on what we're going to discuss in a moment, we'll be able to connect through to your API gateway and make sure it's working as requested. So here we go, a bit more information. We need to make sure that this API Gateway prototype has something in there for authentication, access listing, and also throttling. Fair enough. Also, we want to be using the AWS API Gateway service. The customer has looked at different options available to it and decided that's the one that they'd like to go for. So you've got a few elements here, I'd say 4 or 5 elements actually, that are required that you need to make sure is built in your solution that you send through to the Oogie.com team. First of all, your API DNS name that you'll supply to us for testing needs to be in the following format. So it's going to have your API DNS name at the start here, .execute-api the region name .amazonaws.com. Now bear in mind also that the API should be deployed in proximity to the customer's current client base in Sydney, Australia, so as to avoid any latency issues as much as possible. Secondly, you need to make sure that the API can only deal with requests from this IP address and no other IP addresses, okay? This IP address only. Next, you need to make sure there's an element of throttling in place so that the gateway can only handle one request per second. If it more than requests per second is tried to send through it, there'll be some kind of error message generated. Next, your API should then support authentication using a specific key and a request header. So there's your API key, and that's the request header that needs to be attached to it. All right. And so then lastly, we will then have a GET request to the following path. And if that GET request is successful, remember, it should be only coming from this source IP address with this API key at your destination, DNS name. Then we'll get a test complete JSON populated to us, displayed to us. Okay. So if it comes from any other place, any other IP address, or maybe there's more requests than one per second sent to it, it should generate some kind of access denied message instead. All right, so that's the challenge. If you'd like to accept that mission and give it a go, by all means do so. Press the accept mission button. All you have to do then is fill out the engage form here to sign up to it. And that's it, off you go. So I hope you found this interesting. I look forward to reviewing future Oogie.com challenges with you again. And thank you for listening.